What's up, ladies and gents? Welcome back to Red Bandcast here on the Red Bandcast YouTube channel. As I said, as I promised, I'm going to do my second video in this series called TV Terrors, and for this one, I'm going to be doing an audio commentary for the first episode, the pilot of Tales from the Darkside. I'm watching it on this set. I think it's the same discs as the previous release for the individual seasons, but just in case you all want to watch along at some point, I've got it paused at 0.00.00. It's a 22 minute and 16 second long short, and I'm going to start it just so we can get through this. Got my trusty notepad here with a lot of notes on this, and we're going to go ahead and get started here. Alright, 3, 2, 1, press play. Alrighty, now we're opening up here with the opening title sequence, and one of the things to mention here is that this title sequence was not originally attached to this short. This short was originally kind of a special made-for-TV short episode. I don't know really how to call it, but it's kind of a special, I guess is the best way to call it. And this was made, of course, by George A. Romero. Not directed, he wrote this, co-wrote this with another writer. But this original opening is not actually a part of the original airing. But they tacked this on when they decided to make Tales from the Darkside into an actual series. Originally, this was just called Trick or Treat. I really think this movie could benefit, not movie, but this episode in particular could benefit from a better transfer. Really, this whole set could. I mean, I know it's definitely harder to do a what do you call it? To do a transfer, an updated film transfer for a television movie or a television show. But I still think it'd be interesting to watch. I mean, I know they've done it with a lot of animation and stuff like that, but maybe it's different in live action. But yeah, just for a few notes here. The opening narration's by a guy named Paul Sparrer. He's kind of known for playing Judge in the 80s film Hiding Out, which I have not seen. He also played Dr. Edward Oster on Law and Order. This is a one-time role in 1990. He was also nominated for a Tony Best Dramatic Actor Award in the play Ross in 1962. This actor here is Barnard Hughes. He's known kind of in the horror community more than anything for his association with the Lost Boys. I really enjoy his performance in there. He's Grandpa. He has the best line of the movie. I'll probably be reviewing Lost Boys at some point pretty soon, but yeah. Really, really good actor. Fantastic character actor that just wasn't in a lot of really out there stuff, but he was just he was always good in whatever he was in. I always enjoyed him. And this IOU idea, this is so Dickensian, just, it's such kind of a Scrooge move. I kind of like to think of this as A Christmas Carol, but for Halloween. You notice that pumpkin in the background, so he must really enjoy it, at least in a little way. I know he certainly loves scaring those kids. the opening theme was written by, composed and performed by Donald Rubinstein. It was co-written by Erica Lindsay. Rubinstein, you might remember with for his work with Romero on Martin and Night Riders. Really good composer there. I love the opening theme to this series. Just such a good actor. Building to a crescendo here. And there we go. That scream turned into a laugh. It's so great. I notice a lot of the lighting, especially in this episode, is really good. This episode is directed by Bob Balaban, if you noticed that at the beginning. He's a prolific TV director. He's also an actor. He's been in a couple Spielberg movies, I think. At least he's been in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He got his start as a director on this episode, which is really, really interesting, I think, to be such a prolific television director. And I think he does a really good job, too. I mean, like I said, the lighting is fantastic here. That might be more the cinematographer and maybe even the influence of George Romero, but fantastic stuff here. George Romero wrote this short here. I think co-wrote it with another person. Let's see here. Co-written by Franco Amuri. He was, if I'm thinking right, he worked with Federico Fellini on one of Fellini's last movies, maybe in his top 5 or 6 last movies. A movie called, let's see. A movie called City of Women. He was a assistant director on that. Really, really interesting figure. He was involved with Stephen King's Golden Tales, and of course Stephen King has an influence on this. Of course, this is a spin-off of Creepshow, as I said, and he also wrote a few of these episodes, or at least they're based on some of his stories. Not this one, though. This is co-written by Franco Amuri and George A. Romero, and of course we all know what Romero is from. His Dead films, his Martin, The Crazies. I particularly like his work on Creepshow. I think Creepshow is my favorite Romero film. Down in the comments, you all let me know what your favorite Romero film is. I'm really interested to know, because I love Romero's filmography. He's not got as expansive a filmography as some of the other horror guys, but the actual films he directed, I think a lot of them are really good. Near the end, he kind of slipped up, but that's okay. A lot of them do. Look at these expressions here on Barnard Hughes' face. His wild eyes. This kid, I'm not really sure where he's from. The dad reminds me of the dad from Critters, but I could be wrong. It might not be him. I didn't do my research on that guy. But I definitely really, really am enjoying this, even though it's muted. Neighbors are fighting. Oh, this old drunk. Poor fella. He kind of comes off as a jerk earlier on in here, but he becomes so much more sympathetic later on. It's kind of sad knowing like how nice Barnard Hughes is as a grandpa in The Lost Boys, and seeing that he's not that way in this episode here. A lot of good character acting in this series, I notice. Especially this episode. I think a lot of the big like character people are really nice here. This is a really great way to warm up for Halloween. In fact, I might rewatch this and a few of the other episodes from here on Halloween night. A few seasons of this are really, really great. I say one of the best episodes is directed by Tom Savini, and it's also a Halloween episode. I really can't remember the title, but it's just great. And it was one of the first episodes I saw of this. I grew up with this show with its re-airings on Sci-Fi Channel, mostly. I think maybe they might have aired occasionally on TV Land. I could be wrong about that, but I think it was mostly Twilight Zone on the TV Land. But Sci-Fi, I think, was this, mostly Tales from the Darkside, as far as its sort of anthology show that it would re-air.